I'm Kyle Milan, and you need to watch my LinkedIn Lives because you're going to learn some shit, and sometimes I'm funny. And we're here to talk about industrial sales, industrial marketing, technical sales.
Are you in sales and still struggling to form those relationships with your clients?
The thing is with sales, especially in industrial manufacturing, you can use LinkedIn, but you can use it to sell without selling. Hey Bill, this is Kyle with Manufacturing Tribe, a Texas-based industrial sales and marketing company. On average, we create over 500 videos a year for our clients and write over 500 articles. Leave your comments in the comment section below. We'll answer them when we come back. And if we don't have any questions, then I'm going to go on about my day. We'll be right back. Go to the YouTube channel, subscribe to it, please. Look at all the video content we have on there. I haven't spent 22 years in manufacturing to not know what I'm talking about. You need to watch my content. What's up, guys? Kyle Milan here. It is Wednesday. We are here for a live, and we've got a special, different type of show where I'm going to be bringing in one of my own, my business development manager, Alex Brown. Don't show him yet, Laura. I got to set up the show. Nobody knows what he looks like. You may have seen my post where I was talking about my tall 6'7" ginger that is a shark over here in sales. But before we get into it, if you're not subscribed to the YouTube channel, go over there and subscribe to it. We also have a MFG Tribe YouTube channel now where we're showing some more behind the scenes of the team, and some team members are doing some different videos to bring you guys as much value as possible. On my channel, we've got now over 500 videos. I checked last week, but definitely subscribe to both. Turn on notifications. If you're following me on LinkedIn, I give you a thumbs up for that. If you're not following Alex Brown, check him out, hit that follow button, send him a connection request, because we're going to be talking about some cool stuff today. So, Laura, which camera are we going to? We got 3 cameras set up today. Now we're on camera 3. I feel like we're on a TV set showing it. So I've got Alex with me. Are we still on camera 3, Laura? No. I got Alex with me. We're going to bring him in. And so Alex started with me back in April of last year. I'm going to let him introduce himself and talk about what has he been doing in 2022 and how has his role changed in 2023. Go for it.
What's up, guys? I'm Alex. As Kyle said, I'm his business development manager currently. When I first started out with Kyle, he gave me the opportunity to come in and be his project manager, which, it kind of creates a really good view as to kind of like what we are doing as a company as a whole. It really shows us kind of like the step-by-steps, now that I'm in sales, it's made it a lot easier because I'm able to pull back from that background of, hey, this is the kind of stuff that we offer. This is the kind of, timelines that it takes. These are the kind of customers that, we normally deal with. So starting out on the project management side, it kind of got me really, knowledgeable on like what we do as a whole as a company. So
you would say, like I've talked about this before, sales engineers, before they become a sales engineer, you could take a project engineer, they already know what you do, turn them into a sales engineer. I kind of feel like we kind of did that here, where like you knew everything about what we do, dealing with the customers, dealing with the projects, dealing with the team. Now you're selling those services. So would you agree that that was beneficial for you from a learning standpoint?
Oh, yes. I hands down believe that it was a really good benefit for me, just because I'm able to talk a little bit further than just what a basic salesman is going to be able to talk about, because I've been in those. I've been problem solving with clients. I've been problem solving with customers. I've been problem solving with the team. I'm able to really, relate back to issues that we've had. When a client comes to me and goes, well, this is something that I see as a problem, I can come back and go, hey, I've seen that as a project manager as a problem. We've gotten through to a solution on that problem, and we've also benefited from that solution. We've taken that extra step and created that avenue for business, Yeah.
So Laura, how do you want me to deal with the cameras? Which one are you going to primarily be on? 3, camera 1. All right, so I'm looking at this camera now. You just point to it once you change this, that way I know. All right, guys, so this show is going to be about how to crush your sales. And what we're doing is it's going to be a little bit of a behind the scenes of Alex and I talking about what we're doing here at MFG Tribe, even some of the clients that we work with where we manage their sales teams, and as we build out our sales department and our force doing sales for clients. But it'll give you a little bit of an idea of take away from this show the way that we do things and apply it to how you should start thinking about stuff. So we're going to go through a little bit of strategy and then actual tactical things that that Alex is doing on a daily basis, conversations that we have, and how we run things through it. So the first thing we're going to start with is the goal. Alex has his sales goal, his revenue goal of what he needs to hit to get all of those additional bonuses on top of his commission. And so everybody's got different goals, right? It may be $1 million, maybe $5 million, maybe $20 million, depending on who you're working with. But like I've said in past videos, and go to the YouTube channel and check these out if you haven't seen it, you have to start with the goal and work backwards. If your goal is $2 million a year of new business, divide it out and say, divide it by 12 and say, this is how much I have to hit on a monthly basis, because you can't track yourself against a monthly goal if you don't know what that monthly goal is. You never want to look at things from an annual standpoint. So Alex has his goal that he's got, but I want to get into like the activity standpoint. People hear me talk about, you got to make calls, you got to send LinkedIn stuff. So I want to hear from Alex and let Alex speak directly to you guys about breaking down like over 5-day week. What is he doing on a daily basis? How does he organize this stuff that maybe you guys can get some tips from, that little nuggets of things that if you start applying it, it might help you out. So Alex, break me down. You got 5 days in a week, working in the office, roughly 8 hours a day. What's the highest level overview that you try and keep yourself organized besides like systems? Like what's the first step on how to organize your week?
Well, I first of all go and I try and organize my days and my week. There's obviously going to be things that are going to pop up. There are going to be, fires that you have to put out throughout your week. I've actually started this new thing called time blocking. Yeah. And I've noticed that it's actually a really big productivity increaser. You sit there and you take the tasks that specifically throughout the day that you're going to have to do. So one of my big tasks is obviously going to be cold calling, responding to clients' emails, those LinkedIn requests and everything like that. So I will take a chunk of 2.5 hours, normally in my afternoon time, around 1 to about 3:30. That'll be my time that I have laid out for specific cold calling. In the mornings, I'll sit there and I'll lay my time out of check my HubSpot tasks. And within this time blocking, you can do it from 15 minutes. You can have a small little task that is only going to take you 15 minutes, but putting that in your calendar every day. And I don't do my whole week, because you never know. You can't just sit there and plan on a Sunday. I mean, you can do a rough outline of what you're going to kind of do and what because every day you're going to have to make those cold calls. So that's one thing that you can put Monday through Friday. I know I'm going to have to take 2.5 hours to make my 100 cold calls a day. So I can put that in my schedule. Most of the time, my discovery calls that I have are already pretty booked through that week. So I know hey, as long as I can put this cold calling around my discovery calls, I'm going to be able to hit that mark.
Yeah. So let's talk about that. So somebody wants to book time with us, they go to the website and they can book time on your calendar that's integrated through HubSpot, which is integrated into our Gmail for the company. Now, if Alex did book out his entire week every single day, what we would have to do is probably set up a second calendar where this is Alex's sales calendar, because people are going to try and book time with him and be like, dude, this guy's got no time available because he's time blocked his week out. So he's doing it from a standpoint of he knows what he has to do every day, but he's not pre-planning every single day. Because if he says tomorrow from 1 to 3:30, I'm doing these cold calls, then if somebody tries to book time with him tomorrow from 1 to 3:30, we would work that out by doing a different calendar. If you guys want to do time blocking for the entire week, just set up a different calendar within your account and say, this is my sales calendar, because I can shift these tasks, right? These are you're blocking time where I know that these 3-5 things I have to do every single day. So I'm filling up my calendar, which is the no white space theory, which I've talked about before. You should have 0 white space on your calendar at any point of any day. You should be able to say, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. Now, obviously stuff comes up where it's like a fire, you got to handle something, an emergency, current customers, past customers, whatever, you deal with that. So you can divert away from it, but you're planning it essentially a day ahead of time is what you're saying.
Yeah, for the most part. And a lot of the time I'll actually even do it the morning of, I'll come in, a little bit early, 15, 20 minutes early before, some people are in here, and I'm able to, drink my coffee, kind of set my day up, because, for the most part, no discovery call, someone's going to come in and go, I'm going to book it that same day. So as long as you have in the morning, your time booked out, and you always leave yourself a little bit of space. You can leave it when Kyle says no white. Yeah, you don't want to see any whites. But, you can even time block your lunch. Having a lunch and having that little bit of a break, that 15 minutes to eat or 20 minutes to eat, that can be a part of your time blocking. It shouldn't be something that, your day revolves around as just your lunch, because, hey, you might have a fire that you have to put out after a discovery call and your lunch might have to be pushed back. But having, just having those and doing your gym times, even after work, having that time block as well, I've found it holds me accountable. It's also that private life that you have is holding you accountable of, hey, because I have it in my calendar, I'll be sitting at home and all of a sudden it'll pop up like, hey, it's gym time. You booked this time as gym time. Get up, go to the gym.
Yeah, so it's almost like motivational. So
Yeah.
so breaking down your day, you've got cold calls that you have to do, right? And let's expand on that because a lot of people have different opinions. I've always said 500 calls a week. That's what we do with a lot of our clients and holding their salespeople accountable to 500 calls a week. You can pound out 100 in, let's say, depending on if you have to go through a phone tree, 2.5 to maybe 4 hours. You can do 100 calls.
Yeah.
Walk me through, and for everybody else to see, so it's not just me talking about it. Tell me your experience with the cold calls, pros and cons, and how you kind of organize that.
Well, I mean, you obviously get, you get the days where you don't talk to somebody. And those, those days are kind of those rough days that you kind of get down on yourself. But my whole goal is to talk to somebody because we can offer somebody something to help them in their sales and marketing avenue or their problems that they have. I have something that I can offer them. I'm not going to get too down on myself if I don't specifically speak to someone or make that discovery call. Even touching base with somebody, getting someone to recognize and give you like oh, hey, no, keep emailing me. We're not interested right now. Keep emailing me. You have to emailing me. You have to take that as a win. They're not saying no to you. They're saying, hey, right now, I haven't really either A, thought about this currently, B, it's not something that's on our radar right now, or C, we haven't budgeted for that. But keeping that, hey, keep checking in on me, that's a win, guys. Not necessarily speaking and getting that discovery call booked in that same day. You have to take those little wins. You can't just get too beat up on yourself because one day, I've had the days where I've called and it's like, I can't not talk to somebody. It's every other person. I'm actually at least talking to somebody or getting the information of, hey, I'm not the right person to currently talk to, but this is the right person. Then we get that new contact and we put that in our contact list.
Yeah. And so when you're doing those calls, we just had a call with a client this morning that we're doing sales stuff for. And I feel like I constantly have to remind technical salespeople that you have to understand the purpose of the call. And I've talked about this so much, but I'm going to do it until I'm blue in the face. If the purpose of the first call you're making, the second, the third, you're trying to get a hold of somebody, if the purpose is to get an RFQ, if the purpose is to book a discovery call, then all of your questions need to revolve around that being the end goal. If the person says, I'm not the person to talk to, you have to follow up with a question and say, okay, understand that. Who is the right person to talk to? You have to go through that process in your mind before you start calling. Because if you just go into like, I'm going to smile and dial and knock out these 100 calls because Kyle and Alex told me to, that's the wrong way of thinking about it. You can make tens and hundreds of millions of dollars on the phone by booking appointments, getting RFQs. If you go into it knowing this is what I'm trying to get out of this, so all of the conversation should be focused around it. Now, you can get diverted and people can go down a different path and maybe it leads to something else, or maybe they just hang up on you. But at the end of the day, you have to look at it from the standpoint of if I'm trying, like Alex is trying to book a discovery call. If he calls you, his goal is to get you on a discovery call to learn more about what you guys are doing and how we could possibly help. The questions that he's going to ask on that call are going to revolve around it. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't if he gets a hold of somebody, but you kind of got to be like fluid, right? Like you're going into it with a quote unquote script, but for the most part what step 2 is, right?
Yeah, and I have also actually found, guys, that when you get talking to a person, maybe they're not the right person, but they give you that contact of the right person, you can use that. Hey, I talked to Sally over here and they gave me your contact information. That's a door opener right there. That's, hey, they've already talked to somebody. I know who the person that you're trying to contact knows who Sally is, works with Sally, already has a little bit of trust in that relationship. I spoke about it in the past about that relationship. That's a first step to relationship building. You've already been in contact with Sally. She's given you the contact to Bill. You're now, hey, I got your contact from Sally. That's that opening right there.
And it's not some like sleazy sales things where it's like, you actually spoke to the person, right?
Yeah.
So building trust, you can't close a sale or have a sale without building that trust first. So as you're going through, so walk me through how we've organized, as many people know, we're a HubSpot partner. We use HubSpot internally. We spend an insane amount of money monthly to manage that system and all of the features that it has. But walk me through when it's time to cold call. What's your hit list? Who do you start with? Who do you end with, and how? And after you make the call, what are the steps that you do after that?
So we have HubSpot ratings. We have the HubSpot score and who's open, who's clicked on links, who's actually opened the emails that we sent, who's engaged with us. On my top list, when I come in on the first set of calls that I'm going to do, I'm going to try and hit those guys because they change every day. There's, one day I might come in and the person might be at a 25 on our score, and the next day they come in there at 175 just by clicking on opening an email and clicking on a link. Those are the people that I'm going to try and contact first, because they're going to know the name. If I'm like, hey, I'm Alex from MFG Tribe, it'll trigger something. Hey, I think I got something from MFG Tribe, and it's easier for me to kind of relate to what I'm trying to sell them.
Yeah. So starting with scoring, a lot of systems use it. Salesforce has it. HubSpot has it. A lot of CRM systems have it. It's basically we've attributed a value to certain things they do. If they open an email, click an email, visit our website, pass it along, reply to an email, all that stuff has values associated with it, right? And so what Alex is saying is he starts with who has the highest score, because that's going to be the lowest hanging fruit, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Somebody that has engaged with our content. Call those people first. You leave them a voicemail. What do you do next?
I normally see if they have a LinkedIn profile associated in the HubSpot, just because it's another way to touch base with them. You're calling their work phone. A lot of times, a lot of people aren't going to be checking their voicemails or something like that. So you're going to reach out on their LinkedIn. And being, in the manufacturing industry, or the manufacturing world, we know that there's a lot of people that have the LinkedIn, and a lot of them are active on those LinkedIns. So I will go in and I'll connect with them on LinkedIn, and I'm not doing a sales pitch right off the bat, because nobody likes that. Nobody likes, this is what I offer, and we all get those. I get those. I know Kyle gets 1,000 of them a day. Nobody wants to get that. Just connecting with them and poking them, getting that connection, because they will see that connection. They'll see, hey, Alex from MFG Tribe or Sally from whatever company you guys are from is trying to connect. And then you've sent them an email after I've done the call, after I've done that connection. I'll go and I'll send them a follow-up email of, hey, I kind of left you a voicemail, just wanted to touch base on what we can offer for you guys. Here's my phone number. We're not being super annoying. We're touching base in 3 different categories, and then we see how it goes.
Yeah, so it's from a standpoint of like selling without selling, right? So you're going into it like, hey, we're trying to provide value, and for us, it's a lot easier because we have so much content where we talk about here's how to do sales, here's how to do marketing, here's all the things that we do on a daily basis for our clients. We just open up the code and say, we show everything that we have, all the tips, tricks, functions, SOPs, everything. And so Alex is coming in from a standpoint of, I'm trying to provide you with value. I'm not going straight into a pitch, right? And so leave a voicemail, send them an email saying, hey, I just left you a voicemail because you're trying to look for that preferred method of contact. If you can't get them on the phone, can you get them through email? Go to their LinkedIn, send them a connection request. Once they accept it, again, we're not going into it and selling it and saying, dude, you want to buy from me? Here's everything that we have to offer. Typically, then we allow them to look at what Alex's profile looks at. This is where the engagement in LinkedIn. If he's not posting in LinkedIn, they're going to go to his profile. Under activity, there's going to be nothing, right? So talk quickly about that side note of your time on LinkedIn from like a posting, sharing, engaging. What are you doing on a weekly basis?
So currently right now, I'm trying to share at least 3 times a week. I don't have as much content as Kyle obviously puts out himself. So he's sharing that 5 times a week. My goal is to share 5 times a week. Having that consistency in sharing, people will be able to, as he said, scroll through your posts and see, oh, he's consistently sharing. He's actually talking about things that I either A, have interest in, or B, could use help in. And that consistency on that. So I'm trying to do a little bit of posts. I'm trying to give, a little bit behind the scenes. For those of you that follow me, the few of you that do, you've seen kind of, I'm trying to show you guys my board, kind of what goes into some of my day, just to kind of show you guys that there is a lot of work that goes into sales, but if you're consistent, it becomes easier. Kyle always preaches consistency. You want to always feed that fire, feed that pipeline. LinkedIn is part of your pipeline. LinkedIn is a very large avenue for you guys to get business, and showing people that you actually know what you're talking about and that you're knowledgeable. You don't have to be an expert. You just being able to talk about things and be knowledgeable about that topic can gain that trust and build that relationship.
Yeah. So Alex touched on, obviously I have a lot of content out there, right? We've been doing this for a few years, so it's just part of the thing. But one thing that I challenged Alex with was, and I've told you guys before, if you watch anything that I've talked about LinkedIn, is shoot a video of yourself talking about whatever. And when we first talked about that, Alex was like, what am I supposed to talk about, man? Like, you gotta give me some clues. Like, what should the topic be? And I was like,
you who could just pull stuff,
Yeah.
I'm not as good, sometimes with that.
It's like literally before this show, 3 minutes before the show started, I'm like, what are we talking about today, Alex? What's the name of the show? And let's figure out some bullet points. And I'm like, dude, we're just gonna walk people through how we do it, and there will be tips from it. But I said, dude, talk to people about your goal, right? And just document it. Be like, Monday, here's a video, Wednesday, and then Friday's your recap. Did you hit your goal for a week? And just that raw look people would appreciate. And you've gotten some engagement and a lot of impressions on it. But how did you feel like the first time that you shot that video when you were in your so Alex is, for those of you who don't know, our office here is just under like 4,000 square feet. Alex's office is directly next to mine. And because of how the walls are laid out and we have front facing windows along one of the walls, I can hear stuff that goes on in his office. He can hear everything that goes on in mine. So I heard him recording it, even with doors shut. I could still hear him recording it. Talk to me about what was going on in your head when you were like about to do that. That video.
I'm overthinking it. It's one of the things where I'm trying to sit there and I'm trying to like pull in my inner, Instagram influence or something like that. And it's really not that. It took me 5 to 6 takes on my first one, guys. I'm not going to lie to you. It's not something that comes to me super easily. And it probably won't come to a lot of you easily, but the more you get doing it, the more comfortable you are. I mean, he heard me on the first one. I could hear him laughing in there because I keep going, no, I can't. Got to cancel that one out. That's awful. I sound dumb, something like that. And then the second one that I did on that Wednesday was a lot cleaner. It was a lot easier for me to talk about it because I'm like, okay, no, I just want to go over my day again. And it just has become easier. And you guys have seen, I don't know, my emotions are very on my face. You can see when I turn really red and everything like that. I don't know whether you guys have seen, I seem a little bit more comfortable. The more you do it, and again, it's just like cold calling. The more you cold call, the more you're going to be when you get that rude person or something like that on the phone. The more you're just going to be like, okay, whatever. The first time it happens, I promise you guys are going to get off the phone and you're going to be like, oh my God, like you're going to get the cold sweats. That was awful. I don't ever want to deal with that again. But once you get 10 to 15 of those underneath your belt, guys, it's going to be like on to the next one. He obviously had a bad day. We're just going to leave him to it.
Right. And so when it comes to creating content, you may be like, I don't need to do that. Like maybe you hate video, you will never do video. That's fine. You can use your voice and just record some audio, or you can just write if you'd rather write and just write 3 posts a day and then send a picture of your desk or of where you are. You have to document it and share content in some fashion to show people to be able to stand out. So you need to show that you're relevant to their industry of whatever it is that you're selling. Give them some piece of information. It's not just like, hey, here's my day. I hope that everybody's doing it, having a great day too. That'll get you some attention, but it's not providing value. So what Alex is doing is, like he said, the first day, it took him a few tries. Second day was better. The third video he did was probably better than that. Then in between that, he shot a video here in the studio that Laura did. It was like 7-8 minutes, something like that. Much more comfortable now than the video that you did like 2-3 months ago, to where he's starting to become more comfortable. It didn't take him months and months and months of doing it. But if you guys want to speed up the process, do it every single day, right? By the 3rd day, 4th day, you're more comfortable. By the 2nd or 3rd week, that's the way that you're going to stand out on LinkedIn. He can share my content, but him making content on his own, providing some tips to the technical sales and industrial marketing audience is going to provide him with more value, to where when he does call them, get a hold of them. Yeah, dude, I've seen your stuff on LinkedIn. That's what you're going for, is that you want, it takes it from a cold call to a warm call. Even if they've never talked to you, it makes it to where they're more open to being like, yes, I have seen you on LinkedIn before. Okay, so that's the creating content side. You're going through the calls, you're sending the emails. Once somebody is, everybody's telling you no and you get those couple yeses, what does that do for you from a motivational standpoint? Because you'll make 100 phone calls in a day. How many people, let's say in the last week let's take the last week, how many people did you talk to out of 100?
I'd say probably about 8 to 10.
So we're looking at 10% conversation.
Yeah.
And maybe nothing came from that. No discovery call.
Yeah.
But you talk to 8 to 10 people. Like, think about that. 2.5 to 4 hours it'll take to do 100 cold calls, and he talked to 8 to 10 people. That's a lot of time just dialing, writing notes, logging it in HubSpot, going on to the next person. But he knows that all he needs is one conversation, and that can almost reach like 50% of your monthly revenue goal, right? One conversation with one person, if it's a big enough opportunity, can get half of his stuff. And you guys need to look at that too. Maybe with what you're selling, you need 50 closed deals, right? Because you're selling something that's cheaper in order to hit your monthly revenue goal and then hit your annual goal. But you just need to put more into it. And maybe in your specific industry, people are going to answer the phone more. We only call on manufacturing industrial people. We only call on sales and marketing people, which are typically should be around more. But even our clients that we're calling for we're calling engineering, operations, purchasing, like it's about like, I would say 10 to maybe 20% of the time they're actually answering the phone. But how do you keep motivation? By saying, I want to talk to somebody, right?
Yeah, just talking to somebody. I mean, most of the time when you actually get that conversation going, even if you get the guy or the lady that answers it first. You get the hello, obviously not really interested in what you have to say. Just, again, I always am touching on that relationship thing. Just talking to them, you can actually trigger something in them that they don't realize that they need. You're not necessarily going through your whole pitch, just kind of like talking. If they're giving you the opportunity to talk, talk to them a little bit. Maybe they're not the correct person to talk to currently, but asking them the questions of hey, what are you guys currently doing? And if they're giving you the answers to that, they're giving you an opportunity to sell. They're giving you an opportunity to talk to them and giving you the opportunity to push that to the next level. They'll remember you and they'll go, hey, keep me in the loop or something like that. Keep emailing me. I get a lot of that. That's one of the big things that I do, especially when I get to that conversation. They might not be interested right away, but I get that we're not interested right now, but keep emailing me, which is always good.
Yeah, because you're getting their permission, right?
Yeah, you're getting their permission.
Yeah. So that's where you're just going into it trying to have a conversation, right? You're just trying to have a conversation. You're not trying to pitch them anything hard. You're just like, hey, look, what are you guys currently doing with this certain thing? In our call earlier with a client, we wrote out a script. Scripting is important, but you don't have to follow the scripts verbatim to word unless it's like a voicemail script, right? Voicemail scripts you can just do over and over and over again. But once you get the person on the phone and you ask them that fact-finding question, which is all it should be, right? What are you currently doing? This is what we do. What are you guys currently doing in this aspect of your business? And then sit and pause and wait for them to respond. Too often people are jumping after long silent pauses, things like that, and they're fumbling on the conversation. You just ask open-ended open-ended questions. You're looking to just have a conversation with somebody to do fact-finding to then figure out, can you move them to the next step? So when you ask questions about it, you're just asking it from standpoint of, are they a fit for what it is that we do, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I think you touched on it recently, that awkward silence isn't bad. Having the awkward silence, they're thinking, you ask them the question, don't try and fill that. Let them think. Let them kind of, get those gears moving, get the right answer to you. Because if they are pausing, they're at least thinking about it. If they're not giving you that quick no, answer, let them think, let them pause. They'll come and give you an answer, and then you can follow up with the next question.
Yeah. Too often I've listened to thousands of recorded calls with our clients on the sales teams that we manage, and too often people ask a question like, what are you currently doing for this type, or do you currently have any problems with this? The person on the other end of the line, because you can't see them, right? It's just a phone. They could be saying, well, and then so there's that awkward pause, right? And then the salesperson jumps in and asks another question, doesn't even let them respond, right? It's like you're interrupting them. Just let them respond and then ask your next question. Yeah.
And I find, asking those questions, letting them respond, and then actually waiting for them to finish. That's a big thing that I see a lot of the times. A salesman has something, they're like, I got to say it. Like they've touched something on, the salesman knows that, hey, I can touch on that. Let them finish their whole thought process out, and then touch base, and then say what you're going to say. That's why you have notebooks, guys. You can sit there and you can write down, hey, touch base on this. I know that sometimes you get too much stuff that you're trying to give to them, but having that note, hey, okay, once they're done, let me touch on this, because they know what they just said. And even if it was something at the beginning of their statement, you touching back on that will also get them to recognize that you're paying attention to them.
Yeah, it's all about listening.
Yeah.
So based on what you guys have heard so far, I don't know how many comments we have, but if you guys have questions, agree with it, leave them in the comments section, so that way we can just get some validation, or tell me your story. Tell us your story. And once we end up going to a break, come back, we'll be able to go through all that. But put them in the comment section now, because we don't want to miss anybody's engagement. So we've gone through, set your annual revenue goals, right? Break it down into monthly, then look at it from an activity standpoint. Most people underestimate the amount of activity it's going to take to hit that annual goal. They'll say, if I want to do $1 million in revenue, that means I need to close 10 deals at $100,000. And then that means that I'm going to have to make 100 phone calls to get 10 deals, or whatever it is. You underestimate typically how much time it's going to take to get put into the system to get the output back of what you're looking for. So looking at it from an activity standpoint, we typically recommend 500 calls, but we do have people that are going to be making more than 500 calls a week. It just depends on what part of your day is chunked out, right? If you're only doing the phone calls, if you're a business development specialist and you're teeing up conversations for your business development manager, sales engineer, whatever, then you're smiling down for 8 hours a day. You can make 200 calls, 300 calls, depending on how those conversations are. But you have to set a high number. Now, those veteran technical salespeople are probably looking at me like, dude, I ain't making 100 damn calls a day. That's fine. You don't have to. I can guarantee that your revenue goal is not where I would put it if I was in your situation. So maybe increase your revenue goal. And you may say, oh, dude, they wouldn't pay me that. Ask your boss if there's a cap on how much money you can bring in. And if there is a cap, say that that's what I want to go after. I want to bring in $10 million, $20 million worth of business this year alone, or whatever it is in the next 18 months, and then work backwards from that goal, but triple down on the activity. And take these tips that Alex is saying. Do some time blocks. Once you do your time blocks, you say, this is what I'm going to be doing from this amount of time. Go into your CRM system and say, this is what I have to do right now. I'm going to go through these people. I filter them in some way based on a scoring, based on engagement, whatever it is, and just go. And you can't only go after the people at the highest level, right? You'd be shocked at conversations of people that are like, dude, I didn't engage at all. And Alex calls them, and we end up doing a quote, and maybe they become a customer.
Exactly,
right?
It's happened. Guys, just because they don't open things either, that just because we touched on getting those high HubSpot scores or whatever CRM system you're using, doesn't mean don't go and touch those people that haven't engaged. Those people that haven't engaged might be not engaging because they haven't seen it. Yeah. And if you bring them something that that they're interested in, they're going to go, oh my gosh, I could actually use that. Just because I haven't seen your emails, or just because, they don't have a LinkedIn, still reaching back out to them. And just because they don't have that LinkedIn, linked specifically to your CRM system, why don't you go out and type them in? The company they work for, most companies have that company page. Just, looking at that is also a really good opportunity.
Yeah. So you make the phone call, you send an email letting them know that you left a voicemail. Then you find them on LinkedIn and send them a connection request. You're not trying to sell them. You're just trying to connect with them. It's going after the omnipresence, right? Being everywhere all at the same time. From a LinkedIn standpoint, you have to produce some vulnerable content. If you can be somewhat comfortable on video, shoot a video like Alex did. Go check out his page after you watch this. If you're watching this now, check out his page after we end. Or if you're watching this on replay, go look him up and look at his posts and see the videos. Those were the first 3 videos at this broadcasting time that he's ever done where it's camera facing him and he's recording himself. And look at how vulnerable he is and raw it is. And just take that and be like, dude, I can do that too. People will relate to that. So create some sort of content that is valuable to people. If you're selling industrial products, be like, hey, here's the top thing that we're distributing this week. This is the top product line that we're repping. This is something that we learned in engineering today about the flow of plastics, the flow of water, how to dissipate heat, whatever it is that you're selling. Try and provide some piece of value to the audience so that way people can say, hey, this person's actually producing valuable content. I will connect with them. And then when you go in later and hit them up, and you're not going to say, will you buy from me? You're going to say, hey, if you guys ever have a need, let me know, man. I'm here for you. If you ever have a need for this type of technical service or solution or plastics or robotics or any sort of integration, let me know, because I would love to have the opportunity to have a conversation with you about it.
And that question, if you need anything, let me know, that gets them thinking too. It'll get them where they're actually thinking, okay, well, they offer all this kind of stuff. If they're looking at their marketing strategy and they go, well, they offered this, but we don't do that currently. It gets them to think. They might not necessarily tell you right then and there, that's something I'm interested in, but you putting that out there of, hey, I do this, I offer this, my company offers this, it'll trigger them to go, okay, hey, well, I didn't think that we needed them, but they're doing something that we're currently not doing. So maybe that's something that we could use them for.
Yeah. So it's a traditional solution-based selling, right? We're offering a solution. First, we have to try and can we identify a problem, right? That's the part of the discovery process. The fact-finding questions. Do you have a problem currently? What's the 2 things that are keeping you up at night? What are 3 headaches that you currently have with your supply chain? Identify a problem and go through that solution. But by you talking about other things that our clients take advantage of are these things, they may not even know that they have a problem. And then they say, hey, dude, I can use that too. Let's talk about that. So you're offering them a solution while also at the same time letting them know, not by saying like, what we also do is all these other 30 things. You pair it from a conversation standpoint of they're saying that they have these things. And typically we've seen other clients that have those same issues also are interested in this other aspect or also would like to expand this other aspect. You apply that type of mentality to your pitch, to your calls. I 1000% guarantee you, if you go into it from a standpoint of I'm trying to solve your problems versus I'm trying to just pitch you some shit to buy, your sales success will drastically go through the roof. We're going to take a short break. Laura is going to hit us up. We're going over this camera. We're going to take a short break. We'll be back after this break. Leave a comment in the comment section below. If you guys have questions, want to ask us something live, give a situation, then leave a comment and we will answer them and we'll be right back.
How should I go about cold calling?
The people that you're calling, they don't have time. They don't have patience. You need to get direct to the point. For the marketing people out there, industrial marketers, just because you're in marketing doesn't mean that you don't have to look at things on a weekly basis. And I'm like, look, I know that I need to get into automation, one, for the labor shortage because I can't find people.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of people in our industries of industrial that are doing fun things with TikTok. But I feel like you have to adapt, right? Did you see some instant spike in activity?
9 to 5, just make enough to survive. Only living on the weekends. I'm really thinking that's why I'm alive.
All right, guys, we are back. We're going to jump into the comments. Laura says there's a couple. If you guys agree with it, if anything that we say, you're like, I agree with that, hit some sort of thumb or clap or celebrate emoji and say it something in the comment section where you say, I agree with what these guys are saying. Let's jump to the comments, Laura.
Let's see. This comment must have came in the very beginning of the stream. Patrick said, ginger, really?
Oh, yeah. Patrick knows Alex.
What's up? You know, you got to represent. Every freckle that I have on here is a soul that I've taken, guys. You know?
Oh, my God. We've got a lot of gingers here.
And
Two.
He also said, a Tony Robbins principle, something you were talking about earlier in the stream, I guess, of chunking.
Oh, chunking time. Yeah, it's probably time block. Yeah, Tony Robbins talks about it too, but like the time blocking thing, time blocking can work as long as you go into it knowing like my entire day can get jacked up and it's not going to go as planned. And you can kind of go into every day like that. But if you're like, I can't do that right now because I'm making calls, you have to be a little bit nimble. Now, if you're strictly in sales and we're working remote, then you can have better control over that. But time blocking is good to have no white space on your calendar so you know what you're supposed to be doing and you can hold yourself accountable.
And if you finish those time blocking things early, you know, if you say, hey, I've timed out 2.5 hours to make those 100 cold calls, and you finish in 2 hours, that doesn't mean, you know, that you have to sit there and continue on doing the next task that you have. You know, you can sit there and go, okay, now reevaluate. What are the things that since I've done this, is there a fire that's popped up that I can now squash? You know, just having that time to, you know, sit there and problem solve is also important.
Yeah. Other comments, Laura?
Johnny says, schedule and results canvas and set appointments.
Yeah, exactly. That's what you want to do. You want to book out your time. You're trying to book your meetings. Obviously, the goal is your entire day is booked with appointments with people, right? Conversations, discovery calls, RFQ calls, in-depth conversations. That's the goal. So how do we work on that? You have to put in the activity, but most people completely underestimate. They think, oh, I'm going to make 100 phone calls. I'm either going to talk to no one or they think they're going to talk to 20 people. And once they have a conversation, like we've gone through this before, right? We've got 20 deals in the pipeline and 8 of those deals are hot. And it's like, put a probability on what that deal is going to close. We had a deal this week that I was about 95% sure we were going to close that deal. I was super excited about it, put in so much work into it, literally have been trying to get this client for about 3.5 months. And turns out we did not get that deal. Now, if our pipeline is chocked full, it doesn't matter. It's just cross them off, move on to the next damn person and see if you can close somebody. But if your pipeline isn't chock full, then you're like relying on that. Just like I said to you, nothing can ruffle your feathers if your pipeline's full. Doesn't matter. It's just like most of those deals aren't going to happen. So you have to go into it knowing like if those deals aren't going to happen, I need more and more and more deals in it to be able to say these people lost, remove them from the list, move on to the next thing. So if you go into it with that type of mindset, you will never underestimate the activity level because you're always going to say I need 20 deals, 30 deals, 60 deals at all times in my pipeline in whatever stage it is to know that you're going to hit that revenue goal.
I really like what Kyle does too, though. He writes it on the board. I mean, it's one of the things I feel like you guys can use is, having that warm, that hot, that cold lead list.
Yeah.
You have it in your CRM system for the most part, but having it on somewhere where you can sit there and you can see and you can look at it, because of moving that person from a cold lead to a warm lead and a warm lead to a hot lead is a win in and of itself. You have
The cold lead and you get them. I put my warm leads as we've either quoted them and they're actually looking at the quote. And then the hot leads are, okay, we're getting into the next conversation of they've actually looked at the quote. We're actually meeting with them more. Having those as our win, guys. And it's an easy way to keep track of, what you have going on versus having to go in your CRM system. It's easy. Hey, let me look at my board. These are the kind of things when you see your, hot, cold list start, shrinking down a little bit, your pipeline isn't full. So it means you have to start, cranking up those cold calls, cranking up those LinkedIn requests, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So we do some things like we're super cutting edge and techie out the ass with everything we do, right? With systems, procedures, automation, all that stuff. But in my office, what Alex is referring to is we have our current clients on one list of an 8-foot whiteboard. And then we have our hot pipeline, our warm pipeline. And I feel like there's a little bit that goes into it more when you erase somebody from the warm, write them down onto the hot. It's like, I don't know. I feel like it's just you're connected with it more.
Yeah.
Or when on Monday I had to erase somebody out of the hot that I did not want to erase when we didn't get that deal. And then now my board's looking shorter and shorter. So it's like it puts things more into perspective when you're physically writing to me versus clicking and dragging and like, oh, mark that deal's closed, lost, move on to the next one. Like physically erasing it for me is kind of like a big FU to where it's like I beat myself up about that and then just head down and keep on hustling.
It gives you that, that extra drive, I feel, because even erasing that,
having that, okay, I've lost it. And then as soon as you move it from cold to, or hot from I've lost it, even when you erase it off that board, you can still see that, the remnants of it. Just having that remnants of it makes me, okay, now I need to make up for that. I need to make up for that client because it pisses me off. Not gonna lie. When we lose something like that, it makes me mad. So I'm like, okay, hey, we dropped, not necessarily that we dropped the ball, but we dropped a client didn't sign with us. So it's now time to move on to the next one.
Yeah. Any other comments, Laura?
Yeah. So for this one, if y'all could take the answers on your own camera.
Ooh.
Oh,
Camera 1, camera 2.
who's first, Laura?
Who's first?
See, whoever talks first.
Oh, so we're each going to respond?
Okay.
Well, like y'all were talking a lot on the last one, so
Okay.
it'd just be better if I could go in and out on your faces.
Got it.
Jordan says, what have been some of your biggest struggles in creating valuable content?
Is that to me?
To anyone.
You're the one
Either
that
of
creates the
All right.
value.
What are the biggest struggles when creating valuable content? I feel like I've only got about a dozen tricks up my sleeve because that's what works. So it's like figuring out new ways to say the same thing and not being redundant and providing value without just shooting content to shooting content, right? Like we can produce thousands of videos every single week if we had the team to do it. But it's really figuring out what am I going to say? What are we going to show them? What is the topic going to be that's going to provide them with value? Or how can we do things a little bit different? Fortunately for me, I've got 2 people on my video team that I heavily rely on that to help me out. But that is a constant struggle, but you just got to look at it from a standpoint of what am I going to do that's different? Now, we did change our strategy going into 2023. This year, starting in this month, we are producing probably, what would you say, Laura, 3 to 7 times more video content than we traditionally have, depending on the week. So we're looking at, on average, for my personal brand and my profile, doing 48 videos a month versus before we were probably doing like 20. So we've about doubled it to 2.5 times it. And now we've done the whole MFG Tribe stuff. So by doing an MFG Tribe channel, we can pull in fresh new content, start thinking about new topics, bring in new people. So it's not just on me, but even on my content, it is a struggle, but you just have to have conversations with your team or other people in the space, bounce ideas off and jam about it. I think you'll figure out ways to make it work. Alex, you need to touch on that.
Well, I think, my biggest problem that I find myself, is my red face. Being a ginger, it's one of the things that, being jokes aside, being red, and I feel like everybody can see that red, but also it is thinking about stuff that you think is going to be beneficial to people. Anything that you guys share with your job is going to be beneficial, guys. Even losses. You guys saw one of my videos where I even talked about, hey, I'm not doing so hot on some of my cold calls. Even if it's something that you have failed on, everybody can learn from failure. People can learn from your failures too. If you're failing all the time, maybe not share it all the time, but those small fails that you can share that hey, I can fix this by doing this, having that fail, sharing that fail, and then sharing with the solution, people can learn from that.
Yeah. All right, Laura, next question. Laura says she's got no more questions. So,
I know one of you out there has got a question.
Yeah, now we're going to have to wait. Now we're going to have to wait for the delay.
And who I'm talking to.
We do have. You want to just call them out on it? We do have some new content coming out. So the way that we're doing the lives now is the way it's supposed to be. Is I go live every 2 weeks on Wednesday, talk in depth about a topic. Nancy Bell, my marketing manager, is also going to be doing a show where she's interviewing people. Alex is going to be doing a show eventually, probably within the next, I would say, 30 days. I'm going to make him do his own LinkedIn live show where he talks about something. They can't see you, fortunately.
Good luck, guys.
Yeah. And so it's all about getting out there, creating as much value, as much content as possible, but then also the rest of the team creating content, because there's stuff that my team knows that would be so valuable to everybody on my audience and in the industrial world to be able to understand different aspects, like how Laura from a video standpoint or Jordan from a video standpoint create content for clients. The value that they could provide to you guys is different than I could tell you the way that I see it and why we do what we do. They could provide more in-depth looks. So definitely go to MFG Tribe's YouTube channel, subscribe to it. I think we've got maybe 10 subscribers now. Check that out because there's tons of behind the scenes stuff and also brands where Lara's going to have videos, Jordan, Nancy, Taylor, Alex's stuff is going to be on there. Check all that stuff out because I guarantee there's some stuff to learn. And you can also see the quirky personalities and the type of company culture we have here. Did that last question come in, Lara?
Nope.
The last question didn't come in.
You failed.
And Alex is saying that you failed. Now we're on camera 3. He said that you failed. I will forgive you because I didn't.
This time.
Yeah.
We'll forgive you this time.
All right.
You know who we're talking to here.
All right. So how do we want to do the outro, Lara? On camera 3? All right. So guys, if you got any value on this, if you're watching a replay, leave a comment in the comment section. We get notified that I know that 12 o'clock on a Wednesday is busy time for salespeople and marketing people. You can't always attend the show. If you watch it on replay, leave a comment. We get notified and we can answer any questions you have or say, hey, that should be a good topic for another show. Go to the YouTube channel, subscribe to my YouTube channel as well as MFG Tribe, turn on notifications, and maybe if this goes well, Alex and I will do another one. We'll see you on the next one.